Stop trying to be liked, be respected instead. That's the shift that changes everything about how women see you. Most men spend their entire lives trying to be liked, constantly performing for approval from women, from society, from everyone around them. They want to be seen as nice, kind, available, and understanding. They think that being the man who always says yes, who never argues, who bends over backwards for attention, will somehow make them more desirable. But here's the truth. Being liked and being desired are two completely different things. A woman can like you, even enjoy your company, yet never feel any real attraction toward you. Why? Because liking comes from comfort, but attraction comes from respect. And respect doesn't come from your words, it comes from your energy. It's the way you carry yourself, the way you set boundaries, the way you walk away when something doesn't align with your standards. That's what creates that silent pull, that mysterious feeling that she can't quite name but can't ignore either. When you are too focused on being liked, you automatically put her on a pedestal. You start adjusting your behavior to please her. You text first every time. You apologize when you haven't done anything wrong. You avoid saying something real because you don't want to ruin the vibe. And little by little, without even realizing it, you become invisible. You lose the masculine energy that makes you stand out, that raw authenticity that makes her want to understand you. You have to understand something deep about human nature. People don't admire what's easily available. They respect what has boundaries, they value what challenges them. So, when you stop trying to be liked, you instantly change the dynamic. You go from trying to prove yourself to being comfortable in your own skin. You start saying no when something doesn't feel right. You stop over explaining your worth. And when you do that, your energy becomes undeniable. The truth is, respect is born from how you treat yourself. If you don't respect your time, your emotions, your purpose, how can you expect anyone else to? When you prioritize your peace, your work, your goals, your standards, women notice that. Not because you're doing it asterisk for asterisk them, but because that kind of discipline is rare. It's powerful. It's what separates a man with direction from a man who just drifts hoping someone will choose him. When a woman meets a man who doesn't need to be liked, it unsettles her in a good way, because suddenly she's not in control of the interaction anymore. She can't manipulate him with silence. She can't test him with mixed signals. He doesn't bend, he observes. He's calm, he's grounded. That calmness, that quiet confidence is magnetic. It makes her question, asterisk, who is he when he's not trying to impress me, asterisk, and that question is where attraction begins. Stop chasing her attention. Start mastering your focus. Stop waiting for her to notice your worth. Live in a way that demands it. Because when you become a man who is respected, being liked becomes effortless. You don't need to perform. You don't need to chase. You just exist in your truth. And the right woman, the one with emotional depth and strength, will not only notice it, she will be drawn to it. Respect isn't built in a day. It's built in how you handle silence, how you handle rejection, how you handle yourself when no one's watching. Every moment you choose self-respect over temporary approval, you become more attractive, not just to women, but to life itself. Emotional discipline is power. It's one of the rarest and most misunderstood traits a man can possess. Most people think power is about dominance, control, or wealth, but true power is invisible. It's the quiet control you have over your emotions when everything around you is testing you. It's the calmness you maintain when you could have reacted. It's the strength to walk away without anger, without explanation, without needing anyone to see your worth before you do. When a man masters his emotions, he becomes unpredictable in the most attractive way. Because most men are ruled by emotion, they get excited too soon, they get hurt too fast, they react when they should observe. They let their mood shift with every text, every delay, every sign of disinterest. That's not strength, that's dependency disguised as connection. The moment a woman senses that her actions can control your emotions, she knows she has power over you. An attraction dies where control begins. You have to understand no woman is drawn to chaos. She may enjoy attention, but she's magnetically pulled toward stability. When you are emotionally disciplined, you communicate one thing without words. Asterisk, I'm not moved by circumstances. I'm grounded in who I am. Asterisk, that energy makes her feel safe, curious, and challenged all at once, because emotional control isn't coldness, it's awareness. You're not shutting down, you're simply choosing not to react to every emotional spark that tries to pull you off balance. When you get ghosted, ignored, or rejected, most men panic. They double text, overthink, and question their worth. But a man with emotional discipline doesn't do that. He pauses, he breathes, he observes what's happening instead of trying to force what isn't. He understands that silence is information, not rejection. He knows that distance doesn't always mean disinterest. Sometimes it's just a mirror showing him how much self-control he has left to develop. That perspective changes everything. Emotional discipline teaches you patience. It teaches you when to act and when to hold back. You realize that not everything needs a reaction, not every feeling deserves a response. You start noticing how peace feels more powerful than attention. And once you reach that state, you stop begging for emotional validation because you've learned to generate peace from within. That's what real maturity looks like. For a woman, a man like that is rare. Because when she sees a man who doesn't crumble under pressure, who doesn't lose himself in the heat of emotion, she feels something she can't easily describe: trust. And trust is the foundation of attraction. It's not about what you say or how you look. It's about how she asterisk feels asterisk in your presence. If your energy is calm and controlled, she'll want to stay close to it. If your energy is reactive and needy, she'll want to escape it. The truth is, emotional discipline isn't about pretending not to care. It's about caring correctly. It's about knowing when to open up and when to pull back, when to speak and when silence says more. It's about learning that your emotions are messages, not commands. You can feel anger without expressing it recklessly. You can feel hurt without making someone else responsible for it. Every time you stay calm when your ego wants to explode, you grow. Every time you choose peace instead of proving a point, you rise. And with every moment of restraint, you become more magnetic, more respected, more desirable. Because a man who can control his emotions in a world that constantly tries to provoke them, that man is unstoppable. Emotional discipline isn't just power, it's presence. It's the quiet confidence that makes her stop, look, and think, asterisk, he's different, asterisk, become the source, not the seeker. That's the real secret to attraction. Most men are constantly seeking something: attention, validation, approval, love. They move through life like empty vessels, hoping someone else will fill them. They believe that once the right woman shows interest, everything will finally make sense. But that belief is exactly what keeps them stuck. Because the moment you seek energy from outside yourself, you lose the power to attract it. The truth is simple: people are drawn to energy that already feels full. When you become the source, you stop depending on anyone to make you feel valuable. You stop chasing things that should flow naturally. You stop trying to win someone over and start focusing on becoming someone worth winning. That's when the dynamic shifts completely. Instead of being the man who constantly wonders why she isn't choosing him, you become the man she can't stop thinking about because your energy feels complete without her. Think about it. When a man has purpose, drive, and peace, he radiates something different. He's not constantly online checking if she viewed his story. He's not losing sleep over mixed signals. He's not chasing temporary attention. He's too busy building something meaningful, a career, a body, a vision, a life that excites him. And that energy is magnetic because women don't fall for words, they fall for vibration. They feel the difference between a man who asterisk wants asterisk her and a man who's asterisk wanted asterisk by life. Being the source means you generate your own validation. You don't wait for a text to decide if you're valuable. You don't measure your worth through someone else's interest. You know who you are, what you stand for, and where you're going. When you operate from that mindset, your interactions become effortless. You don't overthink what to say or how to act because you're not performing, you're expressing. You're not hoping to impress her, you're simply inviting her into your world. And here's the thing, when you become that man, she feels it. She notices your energy before she even understands it. There's something calm yet captivating about you. You don't chase, but you're not cold. You don't ignore, but you're not overly available. You're balanced, and balance is rare. Most men swing between extremes, either desperate for attention or completely detached out of fear. But when you're the source, you're centered. You don't need to prove your worth because you already live it. Becoming the source also means you invest in your growth. You learn, evolve, and keep leveling up, not to impress anyone, but because you're addicted to becoming your best self. You fill your life with experiences, not expectations. You build emotional stability, financial stability, physical strength, and mental clarity. And what happens next? You stop needing people, and that's exactly when they start needing you. Because when you stop seeking love, you start embodying it. When you stop seeking validation, you start radiating confidence. When you stop chasing happiness, you start creating it. That's what it means to be the source. You generate the very energy others are looking for. And women, especially the ones who value depth and strength, are naturally drawn to that kind of man. Not because you're playing games, but because your energy speaks louder than any strategy. You're not asking her to complete you, you're inviting her to join something already complete. So stop looking for someone to make you feel enough. You are already enough, but you have to start living like it. Build your world so strong that when someone enters it, they feel lucky to be there. That's what real attraction looks like, not chasing attention, but becoming the kind of man who doesn't need it. When you become the source, you stop running after love. Love starts running after you. Detach from outcome, focus on energy. That's where real attraction begins. The more you chase a specific result, her attention, her affection, her validation, the further you push it away. Because desperation is a silent repellent. It's an energy that says, I need something from you to feel enough. And the moment that energy is present, the dynamic shifts. You stop being the man who stands tall in his presence and become the man who's trying to earn a reaction. But when you detach from the outcome, when you genuinely stop needing a certain response, everything changes. Detachment doesn't mean you don't care. It means you care differently. You still desire, you still connect, you still show interest, but you're not controlled by the result. You give your best energy and you let go. You understand that not everything or everyone is meant to be yours. You realize that attraction isn't something to force, it's something to allow, and the only way to allow it is by being in your power, not in your need. When you're attached to a specific outcome, you operate from fear, fear of losing, fear of rejection, fear of being unseen. Every action becomes calculated, every message becomes a test, every silence feels like a punishment. That kind of mindset kills attraction, not because she doesn't notice your effort, but because she can feel the anxiety behind it. Energy doesn't lie, and no matter how confident your words are, if your energy screams insecurity, she'll sense it instantly. But when you detach, you start moving differently. You stop checking your phone every few minutes. You stop replaying conversations in your head. You stop measuring your value by how she responds. Instead, you focus on what you can control: your mindset, your habits, your peace. You become grounded, you become centered, you start radiating calm energy that says, I'm good with or without this. And ironically, that's when things start flowing your way. Because nothing is more attractive than a man who is whole, who is not waiting for someone else to complete his story. Detachment gives you clarity. You start seeing people for who they are, not who you want them to be. You recognize red flags instead of romanticizing them. You understand that chemistry isn't a reason to compromise your peace. You stop chasing closure because you realize your peace doesn't depend on someone else's explanation. And once you reach that level of self awareness, your energy becomes magnetic. People can feel that you're not desperate for attention, you're selective with your energy. You choose where it goes, and that choice creates mystery, power, and respect. When you focus on energy instead of outcome, you start enjoying the process instead of obsessing over the result. You give without expecting, you listen without analyzing, you love without losing yourself. That's real strength, to remain open but unbothered, kind but detached, invested but not dependent. It's a state of emotional maturity that very few reach, and those who do become unforgettable, because here's the truth: the outcome is never really the goal. The goal is to stay in alignment with your best energy, confident, peaceful, purposeful. When you're in that state, you attract what's meant for you effortlessly. The right people feel it. The wrong ones fade away naturally. You don't have to chase. You just have to maintain your frequency. So stop focusing on whether she likes you back, texts you first, or chooses you. Focus on becoming a man who's impossible to ignore, not because he's loud or desperate, but because he's calm, certain, and complete. Detachment doesn't make you cold, it makes you powerful. It allows you to love freely, live boldly, and let things unfold without losing your center. Because when you detach from the outcome and focus on your energy, you stop attracting from need and start attracting from strength. Confidence without authenticity is just performance. Real attraction doesn't come from pretending to be confident. It comes from being comfortable with who you are completely, unapologetically, and without comparison. Most men confuse confidence with image. They think it's about dressing well, speaking loudly, or appearing successful. But all of that is surface level confidence, fragile, temporary, easily broken. True confidence is quiet. It's steady. It's the energy that comes from knowing yourself so deeply that you no longer need to prove anything to anyone. You see, most people try to project confidence because deep down they feel unworthy. They seek validation through appearance, money, or charm, hoping that external approval will fill the internal void. But that never lasts because confidence built on external things will always collapse when those things disappear. When you lose the attention, when the compliments stop, when the outcome doesn't go your way, the illusion of confidence fades, and what's left is insecurity. That's why authenticity matters more. When your confidence comes from being true to yourself, no one can take it away. Authenticity means you know your flaws, but you don't hide from them. You know your strengths, but you don't use them to impress. You walk into a room without pretending to be more or less than who you are. You speak with intention, not performance. You're grounded not for show, but because you've made peace with your own story, the mistakes, the scars, the lessons. That kind of energy is magnetic because authenticity feels safe, it feels real, it feels rare. When a woman meets a man who is genuinely confident and authentic, she senses it immediately. He's not trying to dominate the conversation. He's not trying to be liked. He's just present, he listens. He speaks with calmness. He doesn't rush to fill silence because he's not uncomfortable in it. His confidence doesn't come from seeking validation. It comes from alignment. And that's the kind of confidence that builds attraction without effort. Confidence without authenticity is performance, and women can feel the difference. You can fake charm, but you can't fake energy. The energy of a man who's pretending is restless. It's inconsistent. It's loud but hollow, but the energy of a man who's authentic is stable. You can feel it before he says a word. He's not desperate for approval because he already approves of himself. That's the real source of masculine presence. And authenticity doesn't mean perfection. It means being real enough to own your imperfections. It means you can admit when you're wrong, when you're uncertain, when you're growing. That vulnerability isn't weakness, it's strength, because it takes more confidence to be honest than to be impressive. The more authentic you are, the more relaxed your energy becomes. You stop trying to perform and start connecting. You stop chasing attention and start inspiring it naturally. Confidence is not loudness, it's calmness. It's the peace you carry in your tone, in your posture, in your choices. It's the ability to say less but mean more. And that comes from authenticity, from living in alignment with your truth. You don't try to impress, you express. You don't compete, you create. You don't follow the crowd, you follow your purpose. So, stop pretending to be confident. Start becoming honest. Start doing the inner work that builds self-respect, keeping your word, showing up for yourself, setting standards, chasing growth. Because every time you do what you said you would do, you build trust within yourself. And that trust, that self-respect, becomes the foundation of real confidence. When you live authentically, your confidence is unshakable. No rejection, no opinion, no loss can destroy it. Because it wasn't built for others, it was built for you. And that's when attraction becomes effortless. A man who's confident because he's authentic doesn't chase love, he attracts it by simply being real. Masculine energy is not about dominance, control, or aggression, it's about direction. Presence and purpose. A lot of men misunderstand this. They think being masculine means being tough, loud, or unemotional. But true masculine energy isn't about being forceful. It's about being grounded. It's about having an inner stillness that nothing can shake. It's the energy that says, I know who I am, I know where I'm going, and nothing outside of me determines my worth. When a man carries that kind of presence, he doesn't have to chase attention, his energy naturally draws it in. Most men today are disconnected from their masculine energy because they've been conditioned to suppress it. They've been told that strength is toxic, that leadership is arrogance, that being assertive is wrong. So they shrink, they become overly accommodating, constantly seeking to please, always afraid of offending. But the problem is, when you suppress your masculinity, you lose your polarity. And attraction is built on polarity, the natural pull between masculine and feminine energy. When your energy becomes too soft, there's no spark left. True masculinity is calm power. It's the ability to stay collected in chaos, to bring structure to uncertainty, to protect without controlling, to lead without dominating. It's not about having power over others, it's about having mastery over yourself. When a man operates from that space, he becomes magnetic. Because women don't crave a man who tries to overpower them, they crave a man who makes them feel safe enough to be fully themselves. Masculine energy is purpose driven. You have a direction in life that guides you. You're not waiting for someone to tell you who to be or what to do, you already know. Your purpose doesn't have to be something grand, it just has to be something real. It could be your work, your growth, your discipline, your vision for the future. When a man has purpose, everything he does gains meaning, his words carry weight, his actions reflect consistency. His presence commands attention, not because he demands it, but because he embodies it. A man rooted in his masculine energy doesn't get easily swayed by emotions or opinions. He feels deeply but doesn't drown in his feelings. He listens, but he's not easily manipulated. He can love with depth, but he doesn't lose himself in love. That's the balance, is strong yet gentle, grounded yet flexible, and that balance is what draws the feminine in. Because feminine energy flourishes in the presence of grounded masculinity, you don't become masculine by copying someone else's behavior or pretending to be tough. You become masculine by doing the work that builds discipline and direction. You wake up early, you stay consistent. You hold yourself accountable. You face your fears instead of running from them. You lead yourself before you try to lead anyone else. Every time you keep your word, push through discomfort, or handle pressure with composure, your masculine core strengthens. And here's the truth: masculinity isn't about rejecting softness, it's about protecting it. It's the energy that creates stability so that love, trust, and emotion can safely exist. That's why women feel drawn to men who are calm, confident, and focused, not because they're flashy, but because their energy feels safe. In a world full of noise, a man with quiet strength stands out. When you embrace your masculine energy fully, you stop trying to prove your worth through validation or attention. You no longer chase love, you create space for it. You no longer react to chaos, you bring order to it. You no longer seek control, you embody peace. That's what true masculinity looks like, not hardness, but harmony. So, reconnect with that energy, lead yourself first, build your purpose, sharpen your discipline, protect your peace. Because the man who masters his masculine energy doesn't chase, he attracts. His presence speaks louder than his words. And when he walks into a room, the energy shifts not because he demands it, but because he's aligned with who he truly is.